I went on that Aqua's podcast, right? I was like, hey, he was like, I'm starting a podcast. I guess I need a guest. And I said, hey, you know what? I'll cut you a favor. I'll be a guest on your podcast. I'll be the first one. And then you'll have a long line of other guests, and people will look back at the first episode to see what it was like. And they'll see me there, and they'll be like, Sam was there supporting them from the beginning. Isn't that nice? Well, he did like 2 more episodes, and then he fucking quit. The narrator started his own podcast, and I was like, this guy has his roots run deep in the podcasting world. And I think his podcast is going to go far. He's got experience in it. So I decided to be the first guest on his podcast, and I gave it my all. And I was thinking, when his podcast has been going on for years, people are going to look back on the first episode, and they'll see me, and they'll say, man, this guy was here supporting him from the beginning. Turns out he only did 3 episodes or so, and then he quit too. Then I'll be the first guest on my own podcast. Because I'm doing it regardless of whether or not you want me to or not. I went down there, had some Swedish meatballs, and procured this desk. In case they want to relax after they get blown up by a creeper. This lady, she's pretty cute too. She ordered. She was at a bar and she was drunk as shit, and she ends up getting in. She calls an Uber, and this SUV pulls up, and she hops in there, and and then she gets killed by her driver. And everybody, of course, is up in arms against Uber. They're like, why would you let this guy kill her, this driver? Well, it turns out the guy didn't even work for Uber. He was just pulled up in front of the bar. And this drunk bitch gets in his car, and he just drives away with her and goes and kills her. Now, first of all, that guy was out hunting for someone. If the second someone just hops in their car, he just goes, I'm going to kill this bitch, and drives away with her. The point is that everybody's looking at this the wrong way. They're grieving for this poor woman. When what they should really think about is, for those of you that are psychopaths out there, being a serial killer has never been this easy. I've always been kind of concerned because my wife watches those. She listens to those podcasts, right? Day in and who the fuck even deals with podcasts? That shit's for idiots. Day in, day out, our goddamn phone bill keeps going up, and we're running out of data like 5 days into the billing cycle. And it's because she hates her job, and she sits there and listens to true crime podcasts all the time. And it's an hour long, and so they go into grisly, horrific detail. And she's a little country girl. I figured she was squeamish about stuff. She sees a spider, and she used to scream, and now she sees a spider and gets a hungry, ravenous look in her eye as she viciously stomps it into the ground. These podcasts have changed her for the worse. She's become... she scares me, to be honest. So all these things she watches, they go into grisly detail. And she's getting a bloodlust over there. And then she watches, when she gets home from that, after a hard day of listening to people kill other people, she watches Forensic Files on TV. The show that basically shows you how a killer got away with it, and then the one fuck up they did to get caught. And so she's like, okay, just do what that guy did, but don't do that part. And so, and I have a fear that one day she's gonna become the perfect serial killer. She's gonna get me. I'm gonna wake up in a 55-gallon drum on my way to the Gulf of Mexico. I just know if I sit there and plan it for weeks at a time, I'm gonna go to do it, and I'm gonna get caught because I left a skin cell, on the carpet. And of course they're gonna do that CSI thing where the guy walks in, and of course I end up having like that Asperger's CSI worker that sees things that other people can't see. He's gonna do the enhanced zoom on the carpet and see my skin flake, and then he's gonna find me through a DNA thing. Same time, they had been investigating this dude, trying to figure out something about him for decades. And this one investigator opens up the cold case file to get some fresh eyes on it. And she just like pulls out this thing that has known DNA, his DNA on it. And she goes, I'm going to put this into a 23andMe and Ancestry, those DNA kits where you like figure out where your family is and stuff, if you're an orphan or if you want to figure out your nationality. She just goes like, I'll just submit it into that and see if any of his relatives have done the same thing. And so she orders the kits, rubs his rapey sperm all over it, sends it back in, and then they send her back. Like, I don't even think she told them she was the police. They sent her back all this stuff like, oh, here's his cousin, and so then she was like, all right, I got known relatives. I'll just go up and figure out who their cousins are. And she asked like 2 people, and they were like, yeah, I guess it's this creepy cousin of mine. He always gave me a rapey vibe. And then they arrested him. They looked at him and he matched everything. And then they got a DNA test and it matched the ones from the crime scenes, and they caught the guy. The second they get my DNA, those lazy ass investigators are going to send it off to 23andMe, figure out my uncle, and then they're going to go, all right, it's either you or your brother. Thankfully, I'm the clean cut one. You've seen my brother; he's got tattoos and everything. They'd lock him up in a heartbeat. And when it came down to the court case, I'd be sitting in the rows behind, the defense, and he'd be looking at me, pleading for help with his eyes. I wouldn't say a word. Anyways, yeah, so they caught this guy from doing a DNA test. I think that's all. Oh, wait, no. There was another thing I wanted to touch on. The reason they didn't catch him for so many years is you need to see this guy's sketches. Like, how the police do sketch artists, or police hire sketch artists, and they always ask people, really personal questions like, what exactly did your rapist look like? And they were asking him, and I'm looking at these because this guy went on a giant spree, right? He was just, dude was a real loser. He couldn't get any consensual sex, but he went raping, and they asked all these people for I guess an eyewitness look of what he looked like, and then the sketch artist drew it up over the course of his entire criminal career. And either this guy is a shapeshifter, or the sketch artists suck, or those people that got raped have no idea what the fuck they're talking about. This shit is all over the place in terms of what he looks like. What cracks me up here is there's one where he looks like one of the cast members from Gilligan's Island. One, he looks like he belongs in Lords of Dogtown, He just looks like a surfer bro. Another one, he's like a sailor guy. And then all of a sudden, there's just like this random one where the sketch artist didn't even really draw a human. They got like a manga artist from a Lupin the Third manga from like 1974 to come in and draw this guy. And he's got on like this helmet thing with a chin strap. It doesn't even look like a human. It looks like some fucking weird ass anime villain. And they actually use that. Imagine being a cop and with a straight face holding that up and going, have you seen this fucking guy? No, I've never seen another human that looks like that. I don't think I've ever, like, it has eyeballs. That's about it. Besides that, it looks nothing like a person I've ever seen. But apparently what it is the black thing is he wore like a balaclava, but it was the whole point of wearing a balaclava while you're doing crimes is, one would think, is to cover your distinguishing features. And this guy had a balaclava that it covered everything except for his fucking face. It like his eyes, his nose, and his mouth were all sticking out of it. It was kind of like I don't know. It was like when you pull your shirt up over your head, and so you're doing that like Beavis and Butthead thing, the Bung Julio thing, and you just have your face sticking out. That's what it looked like. And somehow he still eluded capture, And for guys, it's totally different because there's so many weird things that guys can be into, and really, if they're different a whole lot, then it just ain't gonna work. You ain't got nothing in common, right? But women are basically all into Forever 21, puppies, and Pinterest, arts and crafts. Those are the 3 female interests in life, and by God, they're all going to get along. But guys, there's so many varied things that guys can be into. Like some of us like whacking off to big titty bitches, and some of us like whacking off to big assed bitches. Now, if I have any friends that are into asses exclusively, you need to tell me, because it's just not going to work out. Well, hey, Abby, if you're watching this first episode, she ain't going to watch this. Fuck you. You know what I'm saying? No, okay, so we get out of our car and we're waltzing our way towards Nuke's, right? And on our way in there, I find on the floor a wallet. And I said, this is an excuse for me to not wait in line. I said, babe, you order me a goddamn Italian sandwich. I'm going to go find us a table, and I'm going to figure out whose wallet this is and get it back to him. Because, I'm a good guy. And I'd like to tell myself. And so she's like, okay. Really, all it was an excuse to not wait in line to order my food. I hate that. That's like the worst part of my week, is anytime I'm at a restaurant, waiting to tell them what I want to eat. So I sat down, and I start going through this guy's wallet, and no cash. This poor motherfucker. And that was my first of many disappointments in this story. So nothing I could steal. And then inside I see his ID. And so I'm like, okay, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to Google this guy's name so I can figure out like a contact number. And so I Google his name, and it pops up. The first thing that pops up is Tallahassee. That's where I live. Tallahassee booking report, which is like, when people get arrested, they go on the booking report, and it was his name. So I click on that link, and I was like, well, I don't want to return this guy's wallet if he's like a bad dude, I don't know if he was like a serial killer or something. So I'm looking at his booking report, and he got arrested for sexual contact with an animal pet. I forget exactly what was the wording there, but basically he's a dog fucker is what it was. He fucked his dog. And, I don't know about you guys, but holding a dog fucker's wallet, not very big on my to-do list. And more importantly, voluntarily meeting up with a dog fucker so I can return his wallet, it's pretty low on my to-do list too. So I was about ready to just chuck the wallet and go wash my hands. And then this guy comes running in all sweaty. Lo and behold, it's the guy that lost his wallet. And he actually ran. I found it in the parking lot. This is what's weird. I found it in the parking lot. And this guy immediately ran to our booth. I guess we were sitting in the booth that he happened to be sitting at when he lost his wallet. And he goes, hey, have you guys seen a wallet anywhere around here? And I said, yeah, actually, here it is. And he's like, oh, thanks, man. And he's like talking to me at length. And all I can think about is him getting all down and dirty with a Doberman, And so I'm like, I don't fucking want to talk to this guy. And then he insisted on shaking my hand. And he had little tiny Trump hands. Like, they were so small, dude. He had tiny, perfect for dog fucking when you think about it. Like, just great for grabbing him at the waist, And I had to shake his little dog fucker hands. And then my food came, and he's like, all right, guys, see ya. And so then my food's all nice and hot. I had to get up and go wash my hands, get all that nasty dog shit off of it. And I didn't feel good about that guy. There was no real resolution there or anything. I realized like halfway through telling the story, it's nothing but I just met a guy that had fucked a dog is really what it was. And I had to shake his hand. He offered to give me some money, and I said no because, I had already looked for money in his wallet. He didn't have any.